Hello, everyone. I am really excited to introduce a special guest speaker today, Diane Klem-Goode, the CEO of the Goode Property Group and Mindset and Wealth Specialist. And I've known Diane for quite a while now, and she's someone who inspires me personally, so much so that on my self-image board, I'm not sure if you've ever seen a self-image board. So self-image board is similar to a vision board, except you have people you aspire to be like on the board. And if you zoom in, you can see Diane is right there.
Oh, God.
Yes, Diane is someone I absolutely look up to, and I hope you enjoy her presentation because you can learn a lot from it. Over to you,
Thank
Diane.
you, Roy. Thank you. So tonight I'm going to present on creating wealth in uncertain times because, you know, we're in COVID, some of us are locked down. It doesn't mean we give up our hopes of creating wealth or planning for it. It just means it's different opportunities, and perhaps it's time to sort of reassess a few things and really work strongly on our mindset, and then we progress on to the planning. So what I'm going to start off at the beginning is a lot of mindset stuff, and then we're going to go through in, you know, what I think, how you can build a very successful property portfolio as well. So we'll go to the next slide. So I just want to make sure everyone's got a glass of water or a cup of tea. You know, your phones are on silent, you're somewhere where you're not going to be distracted. And I'll share a little bit of my story. I didn't come from a wealthy family. There was 6 of us, and we grew up in a very small 2-bedroom semi. You know, we had to wait till things were on special, and there was certainly no indulgences at all. So a certain event happened when I was around 5, and it sort of made me have a burning desire to buy my own home. And so from then on, it also ignited a passion to earn money, to look at, you know, I was only 5, so I did some pocket money jobs, but I knew the high ticket ones, and I focused on those the most, and I learned how to save. I learned how to budget, and that's sort of where I started off. Fast forward into, went to year 11, did 3 months into year 11, and I decided that it wasn't for me, and because all I wanted to do was to get out and take on the world and get some money up, and so I could buy a property. So I went on to business college, got my first job at 17 for an oil drilling company. From there, 6 months later, I had enough of a deposit to buy a property. And because I was only still 17, my mother had to go guarantor because she had to be 18 years old plus. So my first property was bought at the age of 17. I then changed jobs and careers, and basically worked a lot because I very much like planning into the future. And of course, you know, I was young and fit and healthy. So I thought, well, I found a niche role that was very profitable. Computers had just sort of come out, and anyone that had anything to do with computers, we earned a really good deal of money. So I worked for Australia's #1 law firm. That then gave me jobs anywhere. So I worked 1 shift in the law firm, the #1 law firm. Then I had a second nighttime shift in another one. I picked up overtime on the weekends as well. Was it hard and tiring? Yes, it was, but I just focused on what I wanted. So from then on, at the age of 23, I bought my own home as well. Also, no, I should say around 21. And then progressively bought multiple properties for residential, and then branched into commercial because I wanted to change it up a little bit. I didn't want it to all just be in residential. So I've used various different strategies, from growth to cash flow to, with the commercial one, the strategy that I call slice and dice. That I always like to have a plan B if that tenant moves out. then you have different options of how you can cut the property up and do smaller rentals as well as future development as well. So yeah, I've amassed a portfolio of several $1 million, which I'm incredibly proud of. And that's what I like to teach others to do too, to work on their mindset, and then we look at their property investing strategies as well. So I'm going to start with 9 tips to create wealth. And this was based on a lot of mindset stuff. So the first one is what is called money graphing. We all have a history with money. You know, from the time we're born, you get born into a family and you pick up their traits and their attitudes and feelings towards wealth. As far as, you know, if there's not a lot to spend, that affects you as well, and you absorb that as well. So when I work with my clients, what I like them to do is we simply go back, we do graphing, you know, when was the first time you can remember an experience around money, and then we look at what do you see, hear and feel, and what's being said, and we graph that. And it might be, you know, then we rate it, whether it's a positive or a negative on the chart, and that's where we start. Then you go across to the next experience, and you keep doing that until the present day. From there, you do the dot to dot, and you will actually see a pattern. You know, sometimes you hit a certain threshold, you might have, you know, $5,000 in the bank, and then you blow it. You know, or you might have a pattern of that, you know, you receive it and you can't wait to get rid of it. So we sort of go back, we clear some blockages around those events, starting from the first one that you can remember, and then it's sort of you work through the others as well, just to clear any, you know, poor beliefs you got around it, or unworthiness, some people, you know, or they don't think they deserve it, and that helps a lot to clear those away as well. And the next thing I work with my clients with is their money flow, and that is, do you receive it, do you earn it, and it hits your account and you got to spend it? Do you find yourself, you know, by the time you get to your pay period, that day before, without fail, you've bought something, you know, you just got, it's like a hot potato, you just got to get rid of it. We look at that as well. Are you a hoarder? Some people hoard their money. They don't have any enjoyment out of it because they've been brought up to, you know, you can't save, you can't spend anything. And then some simply because they don't think they're deserving of buying something nice. So there's the two different patterns that you get. So when we look at your spending and go through all of that, you'll see. And then that, again, you can trace back to the event where it first started. You know, I had a gorgeous client that I traced back to an event, then he was 7 years old. And now he and his partner are absolutely setting a magnificent goal for property investing, and changed his whole physiology, because that event he had interpreted it as a negative, whereas actually it was an act out of love. So you got to have a look at your money flow. You got to know where it's going. You know, do you have your account set up properly, as well as, you know, it's just sort of a bit of a buffer. If it's in your account and you want to spend it, maybe you got to put up some, you know, a few firewalls, so to speak, between your accounts, and don't have a card to everything. That's number 2. And then number 3 is a starting point, your starting point. And this can be quite challenging for some people. You got to know where you're at. The good, the bad, the ugly, you got to know. You know, no point saying, oh, you want wealth and you want us to take action if you're not seeing the debts. You don't want to know about them. You don't even want to pay them. You know, I've had clients that, you know, a huge amass of fines that just kept piling them up. We look at it, we look at everything. You know, you need to know where you sit. It's like the foundations of a house. You've got to know, your land's got to be cleared and ready to go. Same with your finances. You need to know what debt you have, what assets you have. You need to know everything when it comes to, you know, that may affect you moving forward. And there's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I'm in a lot of debt. We just work through that as well. There's different ways we can work through that and get you clearing that off too. As well as, you know, what's your credit score? You know, a lot of people don't know their credit score. It's very valuable when it comes to borrowing. You need to know that as well, and you need to know it in advance before you borrow, simply because it affects how much you can borrow, and it affects your interest rate as well. And if you do it in advance, if there's some things, some discrepancies on there that you can clear off, you can work on that as well. So number 4 is multiple streams of income, and please, automatic cash flow. Because we've got 24 hours in the day, there's so many hours. We do need to sleep. You do need to socialize. You can't take on extra income streams. Everything has to take up your time. It's impossible. So sometimes there's different things you can set up that you set up once, kind of a little bit like I said and forget a little bit. But you go to bed and you're selling stuff overnight, or people are downloading it and paying for the downloads. Some ones that are you can set up, or you can even actually train a VA in what you want, train them on the marketing, and they run it for you, basically. And it's got to earn enough that, of course, they're paid for, and it's profitable for you as well. And you just think about if you could leverage those out. If you've got one product that is giving you some money, why not blow it out to 10, 20, 30, 40 if you can in different niches, and a different product or a different service. Have different income streams, because right now, if you're relying on one income stream, it could be a bit tricky. You could be, no one's job at the moment is 100% secure. People are either being retrenched, or you get less hours, or you get a pay cut sometimes. But true wealth, if you want to go and present for a loan, well, I have multiple streams of income, because that means, okay, one dries up a little bit, you've got the other ones. One falls down, okay, fine. You might have to put that to the side for a bit, but you've got the other ones. To me, it's just a sensible thing to do. To relieve that stress that you may be feeling, look at your different options and get them up and running. And if you can't do it all yourself, VAs are great. So the next number 5 is surrounding influence. Huge, huge, huge. I can't express this enough. If you are surrounding yourself, and I'm talking about there's 3 circles. There's your inner circle, which is your family, your loved ones that you live with. Then there's the next circle, and that is your extended family and your friends. And then you go out to your work colleagues, or your teammates, or people at church, whatever, whoever else you associate with. That if you're all hanging around them and have got the doom and gloom about wealth, if they put wealthy people down, if they just say it's all too hard, or you're never going to be rich, we're never going to be rich, we weren't born into a rich family, if they think rich people are evil, if they have such a closed mindset to how wealth can be created, you're absorbing that, and you'll be surprised when you start looking at start listening to your language. When you say things, you think, oh, where did that come from? Who said that? What event was that? So surrounding influences, yes, okay, some of them, can be negative, but you got to look at, do they uplift you as well? Can you get so excited when you go and see them that you just can't wait? And you walk away with such a smile and you feel so motivated and driven, or do you go there because you have to? And when you walk away, you just think, I'm never going to get those hours back. And you absolutely feel atrocious. Look at your surrounding influences. Some, yes, you can sort of not see them as much. But however, think about who you could bring in. Your community that you associate yourself with and who you hang around with is so important. Who can you bring in that's going to uplift you, that's going to have you when you fall and you make a mistake, and help you sometimes if you can't get up? They'll support you. Who's thinking creatively about wealth? Who's on that same path as you that can help you? And who do you know someone that has done what you want to do? That is so, so very important, because they've done what you want to do. They've made some mistakes. They've learned the hard way. And then, if you talk to them, I'm sure they're going to help you. If you're looking for a mentor or a coach, all you got to do is ask. Because sometimes it's people are fearful to ask, but and sometimes you may get a no. All depends who you're asking. But a genuine person, if someone reaches out to them, feel very honoured and privileged that, you know, you've thought of them and you think highly of them. And yeah, they'll have a chat with you and they'll help you out any way, you know, that they can. Number 6 is goal setting, celebrating and rewards. I'm very big on goal setting. I have been from a very young age. Goal setting just gives you direction. It's as simple as that. You know, you can, I like to goal set out to 7 years and then bring it back to 5 years, then 3 years, then 1 year, 6 months. You can do monthly, and you can actually even take it down into weekly goals, just little ones so you know you're on track, or you could do daily. It all depends what you want. But that, it gives you direct, it just gives you so much direction. And you know, your goals, yes, sometimes you'll look at them and think, why did I pick that? Because you evolve. Yeah, you're not going to go into a straight line. It's not going to happen. You're going to go sideways, you're going left and right, you know, you might go backwards. That's okay, as long as you learn the lessons, you know, and you can always adjust your goal setting, especially like through COVID. You know, some of us have had to change your goals because you think, okay, this isn't working, and you've got to adjust. But celebrating, please. I haven't come across a client yet that celebrates. You know, if you've done something, even if you've committed to reading a book every day for a week for 10 minutes, celebrate every time you do it, and you have a big celebration at the end of the week. Any step that you've done that's out of your comfort zone, celebrate it. Because the more you celebrate, then it gets into the cells of your body. So then you're thinking, oh, you're not looking at goals. It's like, oh my God, it's a big to-do list and it's going to be painful. It's going to take so long. You're going to look at your goals and you're going to get excited because you think, I do it, I celebrate, and I feel good. Then you follow through on with rewards. We all need to reward ourselves. So imagine you take the steps that are, you know, maybe a bit, you know, uneasy, or you've had to commit to something every day. You're celebrating as long as you go. Then when you achieved it, you celebrate, and then you think, what can I buy myself? Doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be simple as you go to the local cafe and you get yourself a coffee that you wouldn't normally do, perhaps. It could be something you want to sit on your desk, or something you've been longing for. It all depends, you know, sort of what sort of goal you've achieved. But buy yourself something. Celebrate, you know, whether it's a candle, a bunch of flowers, whether it's, you know, whatever it is for you, celebrate it. Because then again, your whole body is getting used to success. I set some goals, I take some action, I celebrate, and I'm going to reward the hell out of it myself. So that's number 6. Number 7 is vision boards and future visioning. Highly, highly important. I know for a fact vision boards work. I know everyone talks about vision boards. I personally put a figure up on there. It was $60,000, and I sort of had it above my vision board where I was working. Didn't really look at it unless I was doing some work or some calls that were extending me, and I'd look at it and think, okay, you know, I've got this. And it wasn't until months later that I realized that the $60,000 I had received, which I thought was a little bit low, and I thought, okay, you know, it's okay, was actually sitting up on my vision board. It works. But then you have to think about, well, what happens if I put 100,000 up there? Did I cap it below? So with your vision boards, you know, make it as big as you dare. It's not about you've got to get everything right now. You know, put up 7 years on it, or 5 years, whatever you want, and put it up. And I do vision boards a little bit different. I like the picture, you put a picture of yourself in the middle, just of your face, and then I like to point them in. So all the positive words, all the pictures get pointed in towards you. I use blue tack, simply because that tells the universe it's drawing it to you, not just sitting out. It's actually being attracted to you. I learned that from a very high-profile clairvoyant, and it works. So beautiful pictures of everything you want or who you want to become. If you're putting a person up there that represents you, put your face on it as well. And it ends up being like a beautiful collage. Another thing is I recommend is please honour your vision board. Treat it with respect. Don't use the cheap and cheerful cardboard. go and get the thicker, glossy silver or gold, or there's the red or green, whatever your color is. But abundance colors is predominantly gold. And then you can do silver because that can represent diamonds or silver or white gold. But get the good stuff, honor it. And when you put the photos up, get good quality photos. You know, don't get the ones out of newspapers and that, because you want it to look like a beautiful piece of artwork. So that's your vision boards. Also, when you look at it, there's different types. It works well for visual people. If you're a kinesthetic, you may need to look at it and touch something at the same time, or touch it, because you need to have that feeling or get that feeling inside of you. I do that. I look at mine and there's a certain thing I hold in my hand. Also, if you're auditory digital, you may need to, like, a lot of words would be good on it, but you may need to hear something. So whether it's positive sayings or positive speaker or a certain music that gets you in state is a great thing to do as well. Future visioning is highly, highly important. That's why I like to set a nice 7-year goal with my clients, simply because you're not going to be the same person today as you will be in 7 years. You're going to evolve, you're going to grow, and you have to become that person. So if that person's more successful, confident, outgoing, open-minded, whatever that is, and if that certain person has, you know, so many millions of dollars or so many properties, then you have to start being that person today. You must wake up every morning and you are that person. And when I work with clients, I teach them anchoring, and you'll set up an anchor and that gets you into state. And so you have to conduct yourself. You have to have the physiology of a highly successful, wealthy person. And it starts from day one. Because I'm telling you now, it works. I've done it myself. And the level of contacts that come to you and the opportunities that come to you, you'll think, where does that come from? But because you've changed your state. When you go in for meetings with people, you go into work, you know, you're running a business, you are that 7-year person. And then people around you will pick up on it as well, especially if you lead a team or you're a business owner, they pick up on that as well, and it lifts their energy as well. So everyone's more productive, they're happier. It's just a whole lot easier. And you can have some fun with it. Nobody needs to know what you're thinking and why you're getting yourself into state. You can do it quietly. But future visioning is hugely, hugely important. So number 8 is dream days or dream building days. So it's just a way you bring your vision boards to life. You know, don't just leave them stuck on the wall and you look at them sometimes. You know, if you've got a special car, say, on there, and I'm just going to say, just say it's a Mercedes, and that's what you want. Before you put on your vision board, you should, one, have the model, the color, the interior, everything. Then, and get a photo of that and you put that up. Your dream building days, you go to the dealership and your dress is appropriate because you are that 7-year person on that day, and take it for a test drive. Try and get as close as you can to what's on your vision board, what you want. You have the conversation as you're going to buy it. You just say, oh, look, I'm looking to it in the future. I've got to work on some things so I get, you know, this could be a reward for a goal. And then you go down as far as, if there's a loved one that you would normally have in the car with you, you test drive it with them in the car as well. So you've got that feeling of what it feels like to be in that car. You can take it to the next step, and when we're allowed to go when we want, wherever we want, you can hire that car and you take it away for a long weekend. I've done it. It works. It feels so good, you know, and you go somewhere really nice to stay. So that's it. Building days can go into your house as well. If you've got a beautiful property you want, you can start looking in the houses in that area or a similar house to you want. The trick to that is you go through, and it's very good for kinesthetics as well. You'll go through and you touch your kitchen bench tops and your oven, whatever. You touch things and say, this is my kitchen, this is my bench, this is my whatever. And if you're in the kitchen, you think, okay, what meals would I be cooking in here? Especially if you go with someone, you can have conversations like, you know, what are we cooking tonight? And you just role play that you are living in that house. Even when it comes to your bedrooms, you do the same thing. You think, okay, how would I style it? And you go through and you style it. Same in the lounge rooms. Sit on the lounge. So it's nice to be home sitting here. You go through the whole house, even into the garage. No, oh, it's great to see my silver color Mercedes in there. You start living it, and you consistently do it because it brings your energy up. It brings your belief up. You know, if you like jewelry, you go into a jeweler's, and yes, I have done this. You can go into Tiffany's, and you can try on some absolutely magnificent rings. They'll take you into the security part and have a security guard outside. Why not? They'll let you take photos of it on you, take videos of it. So whatever it is, and if you're the person that wants a boat, or you want to go sailing on a holiday, you go to the cafe that's on the water with the view of the boats. Have your coffee, pick which one you like, you can name it. You can hire a boat. Maybe it's not going to be the big yacht, but hire something. Have fun with it. As well as if you want to travel, you also, a technique is, say you want to go to Italy. You have a spread at home. You go to the restaurants if we can go to the restaurants. If you can't, you do it at home. You know, get the Italian colours out and just have some fun with it. Get some Italian wine, cook some Italian food, get some friends over, and you just have fun. You know, and you start planning where we're going to go tomorrow, and you play a game. You go back and forth about, okay, what's planned for today? Okay, we're going to go shopping, we're going to go sightseeing, and talk about what the weather's like and what the experience is like. That's a very good thing you can do even when you're not with anyone. You know, I have a friend that, you know, sometimes I'll get myself a cup of coffee and I'll just send a message, today I'm having coffee in the Swiss Alps. And she's like, okay, and she knows the game. So then she might send me back some words or a photo of snow, it's snowing. And then we just go back and forth, and it's fun. And we just get to it when we can. But it's setting that intention out to the universe. That's what we're going to receive, and that's what we're going to be doing. And it makes you feel good on your journey as well. So number 9 is accountability. You must have accountability. It's very easy to get off course and make excuses up, and I'll do that tomorrow. And, you know, the goal sort of gets pushed out a little bit, or it gets too hard, too overwhelming. A great coach, mentor will hold you accountable for your actions. You can also form your own accountability. If you're married, I don't recommend you do it with your loved one, simply because you're in a marriage. However, it's not there. It puts an extra stress on them to try and get you to meet your targets and, you know, get the goals done and make some move and get some traction. And that's not really, you know, that's not really their role, and it puts pressure on them. And then especially if they've got a different language to you, and they, you know, they might be all nice, and, you know, they can also enable you. Do it tomorrow, yeah, we'll just watch some TV and do it tomorrow, you know, and it sort of it never happens basically. Or they think, okay, tough love, and they'll be on your back, and that's going to affect your relationship, okay? Especially if they get angry and yells in a screaming match and you get upset with yourself and, oh, why bother? It's never going to happen, so I look like an idiot, I'm not going to do it. It's always a great idea to work outside of your relationships, even, you know, your loved one, your extended ones, unless they're sort of, you know, on the same thing, but they're still going to be a bit soft on you. If you can get a group together, a specific accountability group or an accountability person that will hold you accountable, and you must do the same for them, then yes, that can work. However, I haven't seen a lot of them work greatly, but you might have to try with a few different people, and that's okay. But a good coach and mentor will make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. So the next slide is 10 tips that will save you at least 10 years. And the first one is create a 7-year plan. I've been going on about the 7-year plan. Yeah, and it's not just on your wealth creation. You look at every area. You know, your health, your relationships, spirituality, and go into whatever it is for you. Look at that, and include in there your holidays. You know, or when you want to buy your new home or your new car or your furniture, any special gifts you want to give someone, put it all in there, make it a bit of fun, but it just gives you direction. And again, 7-year plans, they will change. You know, sometimes you'll do things quicker and sometimes things may take a bit longer, but it's just putting it out there, holding you accountable to the direction you're going to go, and you can see your beautiful rewards that you're going to get once you, it's nothing wrong with putting certain milestones in there that you want and goals, and you put a little reward next to it that, I do that, and that's how I'm going to reward myself or how I'm going to celebrate. So number 2 is investment phases. When it comes to property investment, like creating a sizable portfolio. The first stage is the accumulation stage. That's when you will, and it all depends on your risk factor, like your risk level you like, where you're accumulating. When you start buying, and you will strategically buy if we work together, they've all got to have a reason. But it's when you're accumulating, when you're buying as many as you can, as often as you can. The next phase is stabilization, where you think, okay, fine, you might be thinking LVR is sitting around 80% or 70%, all depends what you're investing in. You might say, okay, fine, hang on, I want to reduce it a little bit more. I just want to sit for a little bit. It's like firming it up a little bit. Then the next part is debt reduction, when you're looking at retirement, or cutting back your hours. That's when you go through the debt reduction phase. So, you'll be getting some more rent in your pocket, or you have the option to sell off if you choose to, and take out a chunk of cash as well. So number 3 is, I like a mix of cash flow and growth properties. There's, sometimes cash flow properties are out a little bit further, regional. You're not going to get a lot of growth out of them, but you might like to start there simply because you want to build your cash flow up so you can spread out your portfolio and create more. If you have a mix of both, then it's more stable, because sometimes if it's out in regional areas, they can fluctuate a little bit in value. So I like the old, you've got to look at it strategically, and you go, get some cash flow in and get some growth ones, because it's the growth ones, if you're planning on selling off for a profit later, they're the ones that you would sell off because you've had great growth out of it. So I do like a mix, so you're not sort of too top heavy on anything. And then number 4 is your purchasing structure. You need to have a very good accountant and safeguard your personal assets, and for tax reduction as well. That's something, there's so many different trusts out there. It is very confusing, whether you set companies up. That is something you really need to have a professional. I'm not a tax accountant, so I can't advise you. However, I do recommend people go and find an account, and especially find an account that you feel comfortable with. One, you can interact really well, and you can ask those questions. Not sitting there thinking, I'm not going to ask that because I feel stupid or I look stupid. It's got to be one you have great rapport with, and that you would go in with a 7-year plan saying, this is what I want to accumulate over this period of time. What's the best way? And you'll have to discuss whether you're flipping houses, whether you're holding them for long term, or you're just holding them for so long because you're going to do some work on them, and then future, you might get a DA on them and then sell them off. You're going to have to talk about all of that, because how you set it up is going to affect what strategy you use. There is trusts there that you can just have for properties that just hold properties that you don't own, and that's a different strategy, but you rent out. So you can never own one in there. So you've got to be really, really careful and make sure you understand, please, what you're getting into, the costs of establishing it, the costs of running it as well, and how it can be wound up, plus your profit distribution as well. But a great accountant will help you out with that. And then number 5 is carry out your due diligence, please, please, please. Don't just buy something because somebody's told you. And it could be a loved one, it could be a next door neighbour, it could be a partner, it could be whatever. Don't just go and buy the unit around the corner or a house around the corner because I live there. And you think, okay, fine, yeah, that looks nice. I've been looking at that for a while. No, please make sure, you know, even your own home should be bought as a investment in mind, you know, so you get the best growth out of it or the best opportunity to develop it later on or to do some renos if perhaps, or depends again on your strategy. But due diligence can save you heartache. It can prevent a bad property purchase, can put you back so many years. I do have a gorgeous client that has had 3 sold one off, but the other 2 they're doing a different strategy because they're basically duds. Did so much due diligence but fell down in one. Didn't think about that part, and it's put them back, I'd say at least 5 to 7 years. So we've had to work on what we can do to get her on to the next one. So yeah, due diligence, like your infrastructure, you know, your council spend, you know, you've got to look at the population coming in, coming out, the households, you know, single parents, you know, 2 partners, their income, their ages. You've got to know everything, you know, what's going on with the local hospitals, the local education, look up to see, you know, where the government's spending some money, where they're allocating it in your area. And also things down to your walkability score, you know, if especially, you know, if you don't have a car, how close is the station or the shops, or depends where you're buying, what lifestyle you're sort of promoting. You need to know the walkability score, even like down to where the sun rises and sets. You need to know that too. There's an app you can, you know, use for that. You need to know everything. You need to really knuckle down and know, you know, especially your schooling, all your schooling facilities, your hospitals are huge, your local doctor is huge, you know, that they draw people in. Where public transport is huge too, because, you know, if you've got a family, they've got to get the kids to school, maybe on the bus if they're working, or they want to get, you know, the other one's got to get public transport. You need to know that as well. You need to know that area, and that comes down to, you know, researching your local local newspaper, talking to the neighbours, talking to the shops. You check out, you know, your shopping centres, what sort of people are living there. It is very quite extensive, but it will save you so much heartache and so many years, because you can go into a really big black hole, especially if you overpay for it as well. Then you've got some serious problems. So next is, diversify into residential and commercial properties. Equate that to a managed share fund. You know, if you've got a share portfolio, you diversify a few things. Residential, pretty easy to do once you master your strategies. I do recommend, you know, when you start off, you work out one strategy, and then as you go along, I do say master one, then learn a second one. So it's a different strategy as well. You know, you can do some pretty basic ones, or you might want to go into development. All depends what your risk factor is and what you want. So that, you know, you've got your residential. Everyone always needs a home to live in. Then I say go into your commercial properties. It spreads you out a little bit. It's surprisingly, at the moment, my thing would be commercial, simply because residential, in my opinion, is a bit too hot. Commercial properties, however, there's a saying, is when they zig you zag. Commercial properties at the moment, people are a bit like, oh no, don't go there. There's still very highly popular commercial properties on the market. But again, it's the due diligence of the property, of the location, etc. But then you've got to do your due diligence on the tenant. You know, you got to look at their financials, you got to look at guarantees as well, directors' guarantees. However, with commercial, it is a lower entry point. People don't realise it. You can get into the market on a lower entry point as far as value. You know, you can get in there at 200,000, 250 sometimes. You can't get that in residential unless you go right out regional, which can be a bit risky. I have done that. But with commercial, the great thing is you can value add. There's value add strategies you can do, you know, whether an ATM in or some, you know, telecommunication towers on top, or signage. Signage is a really good one. You can use those strategies to, one, bring another tenant in. So maybe you've gone from one tenant to two or more. That then brings you extra income in. With commercial, it's basically the value is in the lease. So you've got X amount of dollars increase in. So your value of the property goes up because it's based on your lease, on your leases. Then you've got equity uplift, which you can quite easily pull out and go for the next one. Also with commercial properties, if you buy like quite a large one, you can, what I call, slice and dice it up into smaller tenantable areas, more simply because the smaller the square feet, the higher the rental price is per square foot. You can also look at, for an example, I had one, and it's a very huge tenant in, it was 2-story in the lot, 2 stories, showroom down the bottom, office upstairs. The plan was, should they move out, downstairs could be done into at least 2 to maybe 4. Upstairs, we were very fortunate, or we planned really well, or found really well. The external staircase went upstairs, so that could have been done into another 2 tenants, so just offices. At the back, it had sheds, it had storage. There was 4 garages without the internal walls that they used for their stuff they were selling, their goods. However, you had a few options. You either put the walls in and you rent them out as storage space, or you had the option, subject to council approval, you pull that down, and because it was located on the corner, you could build up another building as well. And then of course you could always, you know, knock the whole thing down if you chose to. However, I like it simply because it's a little bit more challenging, it's a bit more rewarding. Yeah, you can be really, really creative. Like I know of a woman that had bought one, and it was one of those older buildings, and at the top there was an area that they, you know, it was a nice fancy sort of border sort of thing, but maybe back in the day it would have been some signage there. So she bought it, and then she found a tenant that would actually pay for signage up there. She on-sold it for a profit. However, she kept the rights to that airspace above the building, signed up for a 99-year lease, and it was minimal she was paying. However, she was receiving, you know, approximately 100,000 a year for it. So there's different little options that you can use. But I always say work with 2, and same with commercial. Commercial, you can start with one easy strategy, and then you can also add another one as well. Keeps it a bit interesting, and it keeps it a bit more broader as well. And it's just a bit of a safer option. Number 7 is investment plan for each property. Very, very important. You know, you need to know why you're buying property. Just don't go like, you know, just grab something off the shelf and buy it. You've got to know the reason behind it. You know, how is that, especially as you get multiple, how is that going to fit in with the rest of your portfolio? You know, is it a hold, you know, hold for a long term? Like the reason, the strategy, and the exit, you need to know you're buying it for a reason. What's the future potential of it? Is it just hold for growth? Is it cash flow? Is it a bit of a cosmetic thing later on? Is it a subdivision? Is it a potential DA to offload and sell? Or is it potential to get a DA and develop it yourself? And also the exit strategy. You know, how long are you holding it for? Do you plan to hold it for? Are you going to be a flipper? Especially an exit strategy is very important if you're buying with partners. Must have an exit strategy, and everyone must agree to it. Because sometimes partnerships fall apart, and you need to know it's in writing, we've all agreed to it, because that can prevent a lot of arguments as well. And you know, even if it's just you need to know you're going to keep it for the next, you know, till you die, or is it going to be just there to serve a purpose for so long, And sometimes when the property goes up and the yield drops off, some people like to sell it off then. It's up to you, but it's something you need to have, you need to plan. And every property has to, it's like a piece of the puzzle, has to slot in. So, a great property purchased will project your portfolio further and quicker. One bad property can be really trying at times. So number 8 is, master one strategy. As I said, master one strategy in both residential and commercial. And be, have it down pat, your confidence is up, and then bring in, perhaps a second strategy. Or you might just want to keep doing the same, but you find as your confidence gets up and you get a bit more knowledgeable and your skills rise, you sort of get a bit fascinated by something else, and you can bring an extra one up. Don't try and do everything all over the place at once because you haven't got the skill set for it. So number 9 is run it like a business. Please, please, please run it like a business. There's too many property owners out there that they've got things just shoved in the filing cabinet and a bit on the computer, and when it comes down to are they actually profitable, they don't know. They've got no idea. And then brings up that pattern of, just don't look at it. I had a gorgeous client that was going through that and said, well, you don't even know. We wanted to know, should I keep them? Should I sell them? But you don't know. Any money, even if you're just getting an income from, a career, it's a business. Any income that comes in, that's your financial business. So then, next thing you know, you progress onto a property business. You've got to have everything. You've got to be able to say, okay, you should be able to say, okay, this is profitable, or this, and especially like I say, every 12 months, say in January, kick off the year in January and get appraisals on all of them. You get your appraisals, you look at the outstanding debt on it, and you say, okay, fine, where's the equity? Can I pull it out for the next property? You can start monitoring, if a property's going forward, if they're going backwards, especially if you buy in certain regional mining towns, like towns that rely on one income, are very volatile. I have done it, and you've got to make sure you buy in low, and as soon as it peaks, you got to get out, because I held on and saw it go up and down, and I had no idea, and waited for the next time. So you've got to know your figures, and you've got to be organised. It's so much easier, if you have it all, you can hire a bookkeeper and they'll do it for you. But one, it relieves stress because you just know it's all there and it's okay. Every month you put in whatever, or you give to your bookkeeper. Then when it goes to give to your accountant, you're going to pay less fees. It's a bit of a smarter option. Even if you've got the accountant in, her rate is a lot less than an accountant's rate. Especially if you've got ones that'll give you reports every now and then, it keeps you on track. And then you can, you look at those, and then you also look at your 7-year plan and say, okay, am I tracking the way I wanted to? So number 10 is, multiple streams of income. Again, multiple streams of income. Just think, you are a safer bet to lend money to, because you've got different incomes coming in, as I said before, and it's peace of mind too. It's so much peace of mind. And just think, you learn something and you're selling it, or it could be a course, it could be whatever it is that takes your fancy. But that income, if you've got it up enough, build them up enough, it's deposits for the next properties. You can buy more properties with it, or you can turn around and use it as debt reduction or money to, do a development. It's up to you. But multiple streams of income is highly, highly important. So the next slide is what it takes to be a successful investor. And the first one is a heartfelt and powerful why. So important. Simply because I like to make my why about something else or someone else. Simply because if you said, okay, my why is I want to live in a mansion. It's very easy to backpedal and think, oh yeah, but where I'm living is all right. It'll do. Well, I might go for the big mansion. I'll just go maybe one step above. It's very easy to pull out because it's just a possession. You know, you want the fancy flash car. It's just a possession. Do you really want it? Like, you know, can you live without that? And you know, of course you can. So it's an easy way out. Connect with a heartfelt and powerful why by simply making about someone else. What community can you support? What charity can you support? What change in the world? Whether it's saving, you know, women and children, whether it is doing something in the medical field. You know, look back and think and reflect on your life and think, okay, what made an impact on me and what would I like to change? Have you lost a loved one to a disease? You know, or would you like to set up you can do some scholarships for education. What is it? You know, is it a mixture of I want to support charities in Australia and overseas? So think about that. Once you align yourself with that, I can tell you now, you will do whatever it takes, because it's not about you. It's then becomes about someone else, especially someone else that needs help and they're not in a great position. You know, when you're in your nice world and, you know, got everything going great, think of those people. Think of those people. You know, are they sleeping in the car? Are they dying from a disease because we just haven't found a cure? You know, are they going to school without a proper uniform, without the proper books because their parents can't afford it? What is it you can do? And so every morning you get up, you connect with your why, you are future visioning, you are that person in 7 years today, and you've got your why, and nothing will stop. I'll tell you now, you'll go through it, you'll go around it, you will move whatever you have to do to get there. That's what's going to be your driving force. So number 2 is a wealth mindset. You know, if you've got that, the mindset of, oh, I'm never going to be wealthy, wasn't brought up with money, you know, it's too hard, can't do it, don't know how to start, you know, you could even be scared to ask for help or guidance, and you just think it is what it is. Well, the more that you focus on that, then that's what you're going to keep getting. And that's the honest, hard truth. The more you put out, the more you're going to get back. And if it's just an abundance, just the attitude of like, oh, well, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of it, you're not going to get it. If you change it to one of abundance with the expectation of having it and receiving it, and yes, you pay the price, and yes, you have to do your planning, you have to take your actions, you got to reach out for mentors and for coaches, looking at your surrounding influences to see if they, you know, they lift you up. Find someone that holds you accountable. However, if you have that expectation, you have your why coupled with your future visioning, who you're going to be in 7 years, you can't help but to receive it. And you start then thinking, okay, money is energy and it's just circling you. It's all there, all the wealth is there around you, but you're not commanding it. You're not holding out your arms to receive. You're blocking it and shielding it. You're not going to get it, but you open up with an expectation, and the expectation, I will receive, but I will also give to others to help them out. It's a beautiful thing. It's a win-win for everyone, and it's enjoyable. It is so enjoyable, but you've got to work on it and you've got to get there. So number 3 is resilience. You have to be resilient, because there's going to be some times where you go off course with your goals and your journey, or you get some setbacks. Someone's going to say something from left of field that you didn't expect, and you might try an investment, perhaps, you know, not all of them go to plan. That's the honest truth. Not all of them will, you know, be world beaters. However, you know, you look at it, you adjust it. You've got to sell one off. Okay, fine. You learn your mistakes and you keep going. But you have to be resilient, because, you know, it's just not, it doesn't get given to you. You have to earn the right to be wealthy. And that is by keep stepping up, keep showing up, keep taking actions. You fall down, get up, dust yourself off, keep going again. It's all right to fail. And sometimes in your failures, that's where the biggest lessons are. And when you bounce back up, that's when you can be so proud of yourself. So yeah, you must have resilience. And that's what I'm saying, surrounding influences, get them, you know, the ones that keep boosting you up to try again and go again. So number 4 is self-belief. You got to back yourself. You must back yourself. That takes time and that takes practice. That is looking at your language you say to yourself. highly, highly important, what keeps going on, especially if it's somebody else's voice, your parents or, you know, your loved one, to past teacher. If that pattern keeps coming up, then we've got to work on it. You've got to keep changing and keep, you know, you are your world's best cheer squad, really. Because sometimes, you know, you're going to have a successful outcome, or you've done something that was challenging and you want to celebrate. It's always best to start with yourself in the knowing, yeah, I knew I could do it, and celebrate it. Because if you're looking externally all the time for someone to give you praise, one, you know, they may not be available when you want to celebrate when it's happened. Two, you may not always get that reaction you want. You know, maybe they're having a bad day and they don't want to hear that, and, you know, they'll bring you down. And there's people there that will just bring you right down. So you've got to have that belief in yourself, and you've got to be able to celebrate yourself. That takes time, but it is highly possible. And again, you surround yourself with people that have belief in you too, and they have belief in themselves. So you watch and think, geez, they're confident, geez, you know, they believe they could do it and they've done it. You all work together, lift each other up. So number 5 is, yep, commitment and determination. It's not going to happen in an instant. You know, you've got to be committed, and that may be simply you've got to look at your timetable, and Netflix has got to go, or, you know, those hour-long conversations that someone's got to go, you know, and maybe perhaps the housework isn't going to be done exactly the way you'd like it. So be it, because you bring enough wealth in, and guess what happens? That you can pay a cleaner. But you have to commit. I always say to my clients, I want to see a timetable. I want to see it color-coded. You know, yes, how you work in your career, your business, whatever that is. Your social time has to be put in there too. Your own mental health time has to be put in. You know, your morning routine, your nighttime routine, just your chill out time has to be in there. But more importantly, if you're going to take wealth serious, is you've got to block in some time. Make it a color that motivates you, and it's that chunk. And especially if you're working with, you know, a loved one, and then it's got to be, say it's Wednesday nights between, you know, 6 and 10, we're focused on this. They have to be aware of it. You've got to be committed to it, and it's a no deal. It's not going to be broken. I don't care what show's on TV. I don't care you want to go out and see someone. No, because you made the commitment to each other. So you can have fun with that. You know, I do say you can call it something. You know, and if wealth to you is travel, you might call it some exotic location you want to go to, or world cruise or whatever. But you color code it, and you'll actually call it something that motivates you. And you just think, yeah, I really want to go on that world cruise. Yeah, okay, fine. That gets you going. But you've got to commit. You know, you commit to going to a job or running a business. So why won't you commit to turn your first business, which is your wealth that you're receiving, into a property business, and commit to that? And determination. I tell you now, you have to be determined, and that's it. And you've got to have to sometimes do some things you think, oh, I don't want to do it. So be it. But if you've got that determination, doesn't matter, especially that determination connects with your heartfelt why, it's going to happen. It's going to take time. Nothing comes easily. I think there's too much of a quick fix scenario. I want instant wealth. You know, I've seen this and it's going to give me all this money. And I've seen this, it's going to give me all this money. Yes, you may hit the jackpot, perhaps. Perhaps you'll lose your money. But if you want solid wealth, in my opinion, it is through property, if you buy the right ones. So number 6 is the planning. Planning and planning and planning. Planning and strategizing is hugely, hugely important. You know, if you're just running out to buy, you know, when I first started out, there was no property investing books in Australia. There was no seminars or webinars. There was no property gurus or anything. So I basically saved, okay, fine, I got my first one. And I just simply bought that because my brother was buying one, and he's 8 years older. And of course, you know, I was a bit competitive. Oh, I'm going to buy one too. Didn't even think about it. And then the next one, I just progressively bought the worst house in a very good suburb. So it was all ad hoc. And the next one was a unit. There was no planning at all. But these days, you're so fortunate that you can actually sit down with an expert and you can strategize and you can plan. So it's all going on. You're not just going at that looks good, that looks great. You know, I was very fortunate. I did buy a lot of properties in Inner West when the interest rate was 17%. Again, when they zig and everyone's running out of the market because, oh my God, the interest rate's too high. You know, how are you going to afford it? But that's when the prices were very, very low. So I bought as many as I could, as quick as I could. And of course, what happens? The interest rate went down and the properties went through the roof. Very, very good strategy. So you've just got to always look, and you've got to plan for it. And your plans have to be adaptable. They've got to be a little bit flexible at times, because sometimes you'll get offered a property you think, in your research, and you think that looks really good. You know, I've had it happen, especially in commercial. And so I think, okay. And so that may be the next purchase I buy rather than what I was planning. And then again, you've got to look at, can you fund that yourself? If not, you've got to bring some partners in. But planning, it's just your roadmap, really. You know, you go to a destination, you use your GPS. That's your plan. That's your wealth building plan. So number 7 is education. Please get educated. Please get educated. How can I say this? Thoroughly educated. Please don't just read a book and what they're spruiking is nice and shiny and new and everything. Okay, you need to find people that have done it. Please find people that have bought that sort of property. They can show you historical data as far as growth, as far as income, especially if you can. There's a lot of them out there now at the moment. They don't have any sales records because it's a new thing. So what are you comparing it with? You don't know how that property is going to track in the future, especially if they're huge developments and you're in the first one. That's a whole new, I could be here forever on that one. And also properties that are subject to government funding or government where they can change a lot of rules which may affect it as well. So please be careful, and if you are dealing with someone, I'm going to say it, house and land packages, please be careful that you are buying the developer's profit. And then on top of that, also, if you're buying through someone else, not directly from them, you are paying for their commission. And on some of those deals, I can tell you now, because I've had people come to me and offered me things, it's an extra hidden 40 grand, up to $40,000 that they get paid simply to move that property. Be very, very careful. Very, very, very careful, please. Take your emotions out of it. If you think, oh, it's new, I can paint, you know, pick the paint and the kitchens and the what, who cares? But if you've got no history, then that's something you've got to start to really think about. So yes, educate yourself, work out which part you think is where you could start, what strategy perhaps, and talk to people who have done it. Please talk to people who have done it, not just the spruiker that's selling it or the person that's trying to move it to, like, there's so many. And especially if you're working with a professional that you are paying them one fee already, make sure that if you're paying them the fee from you to him, make sure if you're buying it from a developer, they're not getting an extra commission from the developer, because anyone that makes any money has to have a real estate license, must have, especially mortgage brokers that are now, you know, getting their license and spruiking house and land packages. Be very careful, because they're making money off the mortgage and then they're double dipping and making money off from the developer. You've got to be careful, because that is illegal. You make your profit one way. Like if you worked with me and I found your property as a buyer's agent, you know, I get the fee from you. I don't get the fee from the person selling it. That's just double dipping, and that's just greedy. And that's when you can be a little bit of a conflict of interest, really, because are they selling you a product that is a great product, or are they just going for the biggest cash grab that they get. So yeah, look at who you're going to align yourselves with. Education is very, very important. And then the best education really is taking action and starting to buy yourself, because that's the way you learn, by doing. So number 8 is action. That's it. Whether you start with, okay, my first action is I'm going to start researching or reading some books or working on my mindset, getting my morning routine going, getting my energy level up. So when I've got that allocated time to invest, I'm energized, you know, because you may have to put in some hours, your work hours and your investing hours. So you need to make sure mentally and physically, you know, you can stay on top of your game. Nothing worse than you get so overloaded and overwhelmed to just give up. So you've got to take action. And sometimes you're going to feel you don't know enough, you're not capable, and all your wounds are going to come up, but take some steps. And that's when you plan, you know, especially if you start with your mindset first, that is the best case scenario. And then you start learning about your property and what you should strategizing for, planning and doing. But, you know, action, even if if you make an action that's not great, like that previous example I used, okay, you get stuck with some properties, there's always a way out. We can always figure a way out. It may slow you down, it'll frustrate you, it will, it can hurt, but hey, it's a way out. But talking to experts and getting some good advice and etc. And that should not happen, because if I had been working with her at that stage, she would not have bought it, because there was one very big red flag. But you know, we all live and we learn. So is there any more points? Coach and a mentor, of course. And of course, you know, I am a property buyer's agent. I'm a property mentor and also a mindset and wealth coach. And I have built, you know, a multi-million-dollar property portfolio previously. So I sort of know what I'm talking about. I don't sit here and say I know everything. I will never ever say that, because the market's always changing and different things come on board. However, I don't let my clients make mistakes that are blaringly. I don't. If I've made it, if I can help them, that doesn't happen. I do, you know, I do work with you. We bring up some issues and you've got to do some tasks. And, you know, if you're showing non-commitment, well, then we do some challenges as well. However, accountability is huge and action taking is huge. You know, I work from the fact that your success is my success. So instead of telling, I don't tell you you've got to do this, 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 we partner together. We work together as a team. And my biggest thing is for you to get educated. That's my biggest hope with my clients, that you understand and then eventually, you know, if you went down the property mentoring part, I teach you everything I know as a property investor, as a buyer's agent, to the stage to actually create your own property reports, and you will know exactly why you bought it. And then, you know, you can have that for years to come, especially if someone says, oh, you shouldn't have bought that. I've had people say that to me, but you can go back to that folder and say, look, and, you know, and then you can start paying it forward with other people as well. So, yeah, that's it. And they'll get you basically, they'll save you so much heartache, so much frustration. They will save you years. And I always say, if you're looking to start investing in property, don't go for the person that's bought one unit. Yes, they've done something you haven't done. Maybe they don't know why they bought it. Maybe the next door Susie next door said to do it. Actually, you know, God love your parents sometimes, but sometimes they've only bought just one home and they just saved up and they got that, but that was their investment strategy. They haven't done it, you know, to retire early. So a coach will save you years. They will, I like the analogy of they sort of, you know, pull you up quicker. You'll get there faster, less mistakes, and yeah, you work together, you partner together, and they are, especially in the mentoring part, you will know exactly. I've got some gorgeous clients at the moment, and they're going through it, and I can tell you now, whether they come back to me later on or not, they will know how to do the strategy they're doing on their own if they want to. That's how I want to give back. So whether you want to come work with me for the next one, you do. Whether you change a different strategy or just want someone to check in, that's okay. But I want you to be able to stand up and be strong as an investor on your own to lead others. You know, educate your loved ones. So it's like a ripple effect as well. So the next slide, is there another point? Okay, of course, I'm going to give you an offer, and I think it's very generous, especially because we're in COVID. The first offer is it's for 24 hours. I'm not going to, you know, be dragging things out because I only work with committed people. And by now you should know, okay, do you want to take this a little bit further or you want to learn some more? So I've made it 24 hours. I'm not waiting for weeks because if you've got to think about it for weeks, then, you know, we're not going to be the right partner. So it's 24 hours. It's a free wealth breakthrough session. We run it however you like to run that. That is basically, you know, let's see where you are financially. Where do you want to go? And what's in the middle? Together and we work that out. It could be, you know, a debt clearing strategy. You could have a lot of debt. We work on that, okay, which is the best way to run that down. Could be multiple streams of income. It's whatever you need in that session you need to talk about, and it's very open and honest and very non-judgmental, and of course anything that is shared is confidential. It does not go anywhere further. It's also including a one hour coaching session. I will give that to you for free, which is quite extraordinary. Yeah, to see where you're sitting. I want to know in that session, it's structured the way I do things, and I really want to know where you sit within all areas of your life. And that's what we start with. So I'll know a little bit financially, and then we go into the next session. If you're interested in that, you simply send me an email, diane@goodepropertygroup.au, and just put in the subject line free session, and then we'll work out a session, booking a time for you that we can, it's done over Zoom, because I want to see your face as well, so we get that human interaction. So that's the offer, and it's only for 24 hours. So it's not bad. I never had this when I started out. Yeah, so it's a free wealth breakthrough session plus a full 1 hour session as well. It's a way of giving back because you showed up today and you've been committed. So the next slide is where you can find me. LinkedIn, Diane Klem-Goode. I do have a few Facebook groups and a page. The Wildly Wealthy group is like-minded people growing on their wealth mindset and heading into property. Some have got property already, some are starting out, some are still working towards. It's a closed group. So I watch everyone that comes in because I just don't want it to be a pitch fest that everyone comes in and thinks they can sell whatever. It's just purely mindset, and I get on there regularly, especially in COVID, and do some lives with some tips or just some things for you to think about. That's that group. The Commercial Real Estate Investing Group, Australia group, is yeah, it's just commercial investing. That's all that is about. Goode Property Group is obviously the business page as well. The website is goodepropertygroup.com.au. Don't forget the good has an E, please. And the email, as I said before, Diane with one N at goodepropertygroup.com.au. You know, if you don't sign up or, you know, think about it, do it within the next 24 hours, I'm always going to be here. The deal won't be as big. You will not get the 2 sessions because that is more than I've ever given. But of course, I have a very good association with Roy. I want to give whoever he has that bit extra. But feel free always, you can reach out to me and just, you know, we'll work something out or a chat or something. But don't sit back. If it's a little bit of an inkling you think, well, I'll have a conversation. It's going to cost you nothing. So that's my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
I've got one for myself. So I've got investment residential property, and I've got quite a bit of equity in it. So I'm thinking to possibly look into investing in commercial, diversify, using the equity to borrow money for commercial property, and maybe something on the low end, maybe 200 to 300K. What advice would you have for me when it comes to looking for commercial property?
Looking for commercial? Well, what advice would I say? One, you work out your planning. Are you buying it because you want a cash cow, like cash flow positive, and you'll go out a little bit further for that? Or you want it more for growth, that you'll come in a little bit? Because there's a bit of a myth with commercial that they think, oh, you know, commercial properties don't go up in value just based on the land. They do. Because you've got to think about it. If you're in Concord and you've got a house and you've got a shop on Concord, on the land in Concord, it has to go up. But the brilliance is, you know, the rent and the leases, how they're structured, boosts it as well. So what I would do, first of all, I'd want to work out what strategy you want. And then it would be, next would be, look at your financials. Like if you draw that equity out, how's that going to affect your cash flow with your rental property? You know, is that going to put that into negative cash flow? We've got to work that out as well. And also, I have a very good 20-something year experience mortgage broker for commercial. I would say for you to chat to him. He is exceptional, and work out, okay, you know, what sort of deposit, what sort of loan you can get. Then we come back in and then we strategize sort of what sort of tenant do you want. You've got to be careful with your tenants. Like, you know, personally, I don't go news agencies. I don't go, one, because, you know, Coles and that have all got the stuff in there now. I don't do even laundromats, what do you call them, dry cleaners. They've been really hit hard because people buy their steamers and that at home now. TABs, anything betting, that's all online. You've got to look at if it can be bought online, then that affects your commercial. So then I like things like, you know, your cafes, doctors' surgeries are good, dentists, hairdressers are good. Anything, any business that they've had to do a fit out, that's cost them a bit of money. Especially with doctors, it's purely they've built up their clientele, and they usually sit in the same place for a long time. So it's the only time a doctor will move premises, or a dentist or a specialist, is simply because they're expanding and they're getting more staff on. Because they like to be known, oh, in Oatley, say, you know, it's Dr. So-and-so, and everyone goes there, and it spreads, you know, mothers go to school, everything's, you know, word of mouth spreads, and that's, their goodwill is locked up in those four walls. So I really like them as well. But even hairdressers are great. Nail places, they usually stay for a while as well. You've really got to, I mean, if you wanted to go bigger, childcare centres, not bad. However, there is a thing called purpose built, and when it's built for one industry, then that does affect your borrowing. You've got to have a bit of more deposit as well. Then it comes down to your due diligence. Like you do all your area stuff, even your foot traffic. You know, if you're buying, say, a shop front in a strip of buildings, I would sort of visit it, say 3 different times of the day. Especially at night time, you want to make sure there's no undesirables hanging around. And that also comes back to, with your residential, have a look. If you've got strips of shops that get roller doored and graffitied, I've seen them just recently, and the signage is all smashed, you know, it's not great. That goes down to your commercial as well. What else? And you go in and you talk to the tenant. I mean, there's so many, I mean, I can give you, there's so many questions you can ask, and you just have a chat, and, you know, you can go and talk to other shop fronts. How's business? How's, you know, you go and get a coffee, and you just have a general conversation. There's so many different ways you can do it, but you've got to make sure there's enough foot traffic. And then if it's a strip of shops, you need to look at the mix of shops. Like, is it predominantly like a restaurant takeaway food strip? Is it like a professional strip with your accountant and your solicitor? I mean, they're good tenants too, unless they sort of want to, they move out and get bigger. You got to look at the mix. You know, just like your shopping centres, you know, they look at mix. People, when you go in there to take out a lease, you look at the mix and see if it suits you. Same as your shop strips as well. I am going to launch both a commercial investing course and a residential investing course in a few months, hopefully. You know, if that's something anyone interested, just let me know. And because it's here with Roy, I will reduce the price as well, as long as two books connected to each one as well. But commercial, it's fascinating. But with commercial, you want to make sure, look at the developments that are going up. Is there a lot of developments? More development that's going up, especially in beautiful high rises. That's more people that are coming in to the area, which means more people need to get their food, entertainment, their doctors, the services. That's what you really need. You need to make sure that whoever's in there is going to be, you know, making some good money. And you need to look at future developments. Like, I know there's a certain area, they've got a certain, I'm not even going to say where it is, they've got a certain sort of circle of land that's being built around a major facility, and it's an 8-year building project. Plus, I know of, because I do get some off-market sites as well, I do know in the main street there is a huge 500-unit opportunity to build on top of some shops. So that whole area is starting to take off. So if you sort of got into there, you know, it may not be bad for both residential and commercial. And that's the area this young couple, by chance, and they had to educate themselves and get out there and look, and came back in the, I think this area, and I went, oh, that was interesting. So yeah, that's the area they're looking at. So there's a lot of, it's a lot different. Commercial is a lot more detailed with commercial. And there's different things, like I don't personally buy a property if the business owner runs their business from the property, but they're selling the property off, because yes, you look at their financials, but is the business struggling and they're selling the property because they need a cash injection, or are they setting it up to close the business down, which means you'll have no tenant and do a runner. You've got to be very but if you can get it like a national tenant or a franchise, and you got the franchise head office on the lease, not bad, because they do the payments rather than the franchisee, because their name's on the line. But yeah, it's a lot more detailed, but you know, I find it fascinating myself. Fascinating what you can do. You look from different perspectives, and honestly, most investors go residential. That's 90% of the market. There's only 10% in commercial. So you've got less competition. Then you throw in that, oh my God, it's the end of the world because we're in COVID. Don't ever think about it. Perhaps that's a good chance to, I always buy the opposite to what everyone else. Yeah. Like I'm a buyer's agent. I go out there looking at properties for people, and you know, they say, I want to buy an investment. I'll say, have you thought about commercial? Oh, I think I'll start with residential. And I've seen some absolutely stupid prices, especially when the government gave injections of, you know, funds. They didn't care. But if you're receiving a grant, say it's 20,000, but if you're paying an extra 100 for that property, you're out of pocket 80 grand. I don't care if you get a grant or not. So many people are hanging on to, I've got to get that grant, I've got to get this, I've got to get that. In the long run, is it worth it sometimes? If you're buying it for yourself to live, you just got to look at your price. You got to look at your market value. I've seen people fight over properties at auctions. It's just absolutely insane. That's why, like, you know, if I was to work with any of you, you've got to have a strategy. You've got to know I teach you how to do comparables. We go through all of that as well, so you know you're paying. There's always a range, and once you hit that top end, you know, you've got to be prepared to walk away. You've got to be prepared because, you know, you're paying extra 10, 20, 30, sometimes 100 grand. You got to think about that's 100 grand out of your pocket. That's net. So you have to work for it. Not 100,000, I earn 100,000. No, it's more than that because the tax has to come out of it. It'll take you a while. And especially, I had a woman sit down with me and she was looking at it off the plan. Now, off the plan is a whole new kettle of fish, and be very careful if you get wined and dined. They'll take you. They'll show you sometimes they've got it all, like, I can't remember the name of it, like the building, so you can have a little look at the statue sort of thing. I'll take you for lunch, I'll take you for breakfast, I'll take you to dinner. I saw it all with them. I'm warning her, please don't. When it came down to actual signing up, she put a deposit down. She signed up, even though she was thinking I shouldn't be signing it, but she did. Because when she actually looked at the contract, and you've got to be very wary if it's a one-stop shop, that you know, there's the real estate agent, it's the mortgage broker, the solicitor, or the conveyancer, and they're all together. You've got to be very careful. Luckily, the solicitor that was connected said okay, and said the address and the location in the building. My friend thought, oh, okay, it's one tower being built, and she thought she was away from the main road and away from the railway station part. It actually ended up to be 2 towers being built that she wasn't aware of until she went and signed up. And she thought she was like up the top in the building. It actually turned out that she was ground floor, and she was on the corner apartment that was railway station one side and main road the other. And it wasn't the unit number she was told. So if she didn't check, and then it took, they said, no, you paid the deposit and you've signed. They tried to push her to go through. She's texting and putting everything in writing, trying to, you know, say, no, I'm getting out. It ended up, she had to do a sit-in in their office. They said the office wasn't open. It was around Christmas. It's not open, it's closed. So she just thought, I'll go and have a look. She took a computer, took her work with her, and it was open. She goes, I'm staying here until you pay me back my 5,000. And she goes, and anyone that walks through that door, I'm going to tell them exactly what you tried to do. So you've got to be very, very careful. You have to know what you're buying, especially if there's, you know, all these different perks that they throw at you. Ask why. Rental guarantees, ask why. If it's a good property, why you got to guarantee the rent? It should stand up on its own. And they may only last for a few years. And what happens when that goes off? If you look at what they're promising for rent and then you're looking at market rent, is there a huge difference? Because in those few years when it expires, you're going to come crashing down. Yeah, so a lot of things to look out for, but it's all fun. But you've got to make sure, please, just get as educated as you can.
You definitely know a lot, Diane.
I do, I love it. I can't help it. It's fascinating. It's fascinating, especially when you come across some rorts and you sort of think, oh my God.
Yeah.
And, you know, people go in, they're not educated, and they believe he's a nice person. He's always been nice to us and he's happy and, you know, whatever. Please be careful of those hidden commissions. Very careful. And if you discover it, you report them. Simple as that. Few cowboys, but that's okay. There's some honest ones like me out there. You know, because that's just true. I get people into, you know, good properties that perform well. They're going to keep, you know, continually buying and, you know, get what they want out of life. And then it's good word of mouth. So why not do the right thing by everyone? Like, I don't like people to buy things. If I think there's a problem, I personally wouldn't buy it. I will bring that up. It's up to them, because I don't tell people what to buy, but I would say, okay, be mindful of this and this and this. So it's their decision in the end. But that's it. That's my thing.
Cool. Thank
Any
you,
other
Diane.
questions? Comments?
Everyone's got your email address, so they can email you any questions later
Send me an email. Feel free to join my Wildly Wealthy group, or the, you know, and or the commercial one. And yeah, just keep in contact. I'd like to know, you know, everyone to keep in contact so I know how you're all traveling. And you know, if you ever have any questions on wealth mindset or property, I'm always here. You can always reach out. That's not a problem.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
You're welcome.
Are absolutely very experienced in this area, and I would highly recommend you to anyone. Like, if you want to succeed in a particular area, what you do is you find someone, a mentor, coach who's achieved 10 times what you want to achieve, and they will have the experience to get you there much faster.
Well, that's it. Instead of you looking for, like, you know, another mentor once you've grown out of that one, and then, you know, got the second property, you're looking for the next one, just go as high as you can and then get there as quick as you can. Because once you've outgrown one mentor, you're then looking and wasting time and energy looking for the next one. So why not just take a big leap of faith and do what you've got to do.
And I'll be booking a session with you, Diane, because I am thinking of buying a commercial property and I have no idea.
I'm looking forward to it. That'd be good.
Okay.
Good on you.